They both worked on a farm together one year, and she just realized she didn't want to kill these animals that she'd raised. And so cooking for her is a challenge for me, I have to say.
Well, because I think that you probably are an ethical eater in the sense that you're not going to be supporting factory farms, but you're going to be, I mean, you did have a pig roast with a local...
No, I do believe that if you raise animal, if you give them a happy life and a decent death, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And I can deal with vegetarianism, but vegenism, where you can't even, no eggs, no cheese, no milk products, it's really challenging.
Yeah. So did you build some of that into the gourmet?
And we definitely thought about when we did Gourmet Today. We really thought about sustainability. It's a huge focus of the book. But also today, you may not be vegetarian, but I think it's a rare family that doesn't have, at Thanksgiving, a vegetarian who shows up.
Absolutely.
And, if you're lucky, it's not a vegan, it's just a vegetarian.
Well, and I think that's, everybody's becoming educated about kind of vegetarians, vegans. Like my Jim he has celiac disease. So here I am, half Italian, grew up making homemade pasta. It's, I've had to kind of take on a new vernacular, and learn how to use quinoa and potato flour and corn flour and, kind of trying to replicate my Italianness.
Well, the celiac thing is so interesting because that is really new and it's pervasive.
Yes.
I mean, in my last year, my first year in Gourmet, I went there in '99, we never heard from people who were gluten intolerant. Never. And in the last year, we heard from 5 or 10 people every day saying, give us more celiac recipes, give us more.
So it's fascinating because you just wonder, it's like, have people built up like an intolerance from overeating wheat? I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing. But on the other hand, what I learned about that disease, it's called the Great Imposter. And frequently, you would have celiac disease, but your symptoms would be something else, and so they were treating your symptoms. And so the medical, the doctors have actually become more sophisticated about testing for celiac disease, and I think that's why we're seeing more and more diagnoses of such, because Jim, his regular doctor, was going to give him the purple pill, whatever, Nexium. And, because he had indigestion and he had some muscle cramps, so they were giving him magnesium, like all the stuff, but none of it was working. And we went to a naturopathic doctor, and, he looked at Jim's blood work, and he's like, I know what you have. And we're like, what? And he's like, celiac disease. Just get rid of wheat, and you're going to feel better in a week. And he did, and he gained 30 pounds, and because he was always real thin. And anyway, so it's not about celiac disease. But anyhow, if you're just joining us, this is Carole Murko. We're on Heirloom Meals Radio on WBCR-LP 97.7 FM, and we have this amazing treat in the studio today, Ruth Reichl, and we're going to just spend a little bit of time talking about some of her favorite recipes in the most recent tome from Gourmet. And then, to kind of finish the show, what I want to do is just hear a little bit about your kind of your views on family and cooking, and then kind of what's next for Ruth, because I think everybody wants to know. So tell me, I think you probably have some favorites from this book.
Many. My favorite really fast recipe, because I think it's such a great example of how easy it is to cook well now, is a spiced chicken recipe that takes 10 minutes, and it's got, I think of it as the 4 C's. It's got cumin, cinnamon, coriander, and chile powder. And you mix them, and you basically you rub it on the chicken.
And any kind of breast, legs.
This recipe is for
chicken.
breasts, but I would never eat breasts if I could only eat thighs and legs. Any piece really, and you rub it on, and you saute it a little, and then you put a little water in the pan, and you put it in the oven, and it's, I mean, less than 10 minutes of active time in this. And what you end up with is something that is completely flavorful and tastes exotic, but is no work. And another big part of what we did in this book was really think about people's time constraints. Because, you know, a lot of, I mean, at Gourmet, we were all working.
Right, that's what you did.
Yeah, and we went home from work, and we wanted to be able to cook for our families, but we didn't want to always have to do
this elaborate,
elaborate production.
So there's some great short, but one of actually the recipes I think I heard you talk about when you gave your speech at the book loft was the lasagna recipe. Oh. And I had cooked that recipe when it was on the. Did you have it on the cover?
We did.
Right, and I can definitely tell you that I'm Italian. That was bar none the best lasagna recipe I've ever had in my entire life.
It is an amazing recipe. Yeah. It's a project.
Oh, it is.
It's a project because you're making everything from scratch.
Right. Even it was the spinach, right?
It's a spinach dough.
Right.
But you can do it with regular dough. Yeah. And I actually one of the fast ways I've found to do it is if you really don't want to take the trouble.
Yeah.
To make homemade pasta. It's so much fun. I don't know why you wouldn't want to, but. And there's something wonderful about that, sort of whipping the egg into the flour with that little wall coming down. But if you buy sheets of commercial pasta, someplace that sells fresh pasta.
Oh, so like Guido sells the actual rectangles, not the strips.
Right. The whole sheets of pasta. And you put that through a pasta machine and make it thinner. Because one of the big things about that is that it's just
paper thin.
It's like butterfly wings. I mean, they're really, really thin, and you can put it through and put it through and put it through until you get something really thin.
Oh, you probably can get how many sheets out of one sheet? I would imagine.
Yeah, one sheet is enough for 2 pans of lasagna.
So there you have it. It's a savings too. So that's one of my favorites, and we just did a little catering event, and we made your dulce de leche little cheesecake squares.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you know, cheesecake is so funny. I mean, cheesecake is such a cheap trick. Yeah. I mean, there is no work in cheesecake, and everybody loves it, and oohs and ahs. And we always have every book we did. We put lots of cheesecakes in because people adore them.
It is. It's an ooh and ah. And I've changed the crust for Jim. And so what I've done is I've used I ground almonds, and then I just added the brown sugar and butter to the ground almonds, and it works out just
I'm sure it
perfectly.
is, but you can do one even without a crust.
Exactly.
You don't really need one.
But you know, just it's just to even share with our listeners that you know you can take a published cookbook and a recipe, and you can still go off the recipe, and really part of what Heirloom Meals is all about is really encouraging people to get back in the kitchen and to cook, to go back to your relatives, share the stories, find the recipes, and cook the family meal.